So, hi Maria, thank you for coming in. How are you doing today?
Hi, thank you. I'm doing okay. It's been a not a crazy day today, so that's
Good.
good.
Okay, great. I did want to talk a little bit more about what you shared in our last check-in about feeling like you're not worthy of going to college or that you feel bad because you placed yourself in this position. Your parents never asked that of you. Um, I wanted to ask, is that still true for you today?
Um, yeah, a little bit. I honestly just feel like my brain is not designed for college. I have had a crazy struggle with staying on top of my task, of being attentive in class even at some points, and sometimes I just feel guilty for even trying to be there.
Okay. Thank you for sharing all of that. I did want to go through some of those thoughts and kind of go through a tool technique called triple R technique. Is that okay if we kind of run that down?
Yeah.
Okay. So, first, I want to start with that unworthy thought that you're having. That is an automatic thought. So, we can think of that, for example, like when you go to the doctor and they tap your knee and your leg kicks, right? Um,
Okay.
well, we do that as well with our thoughts when we're feeling pressure, we have stress, we're overwhelmed. Sometimes these negative thoughts just kick in and they feel like fact. They feel like fact, even though, yeah, we're just under all this pressure.
Okay, and so would that mean that I'm not actually a failure? Are these thoughts just coming in because of my stress and how I'm feeling throughout the day?
Yeah, it can be that you're overwhelmed and so you're feeling all this pressure and you're having all those thoughts. So that's exactly it, right? Because you're first generation, you're balancing that and having ADHD, you're helping your parents, you're a shift leader. There's a lot of pressure that's happening there. So today that triple R, that technique is recording these thoughts, rationalizing them, and replacing it. It's a way to slow down that reflex that we're having, those negative thoughts, and to look at some of the actual evidence and replace some of those thoughts, right? So let's record a specific event. Let's start with the feeling of unworthy. Did something specifically happen this week that triggered that thought?
I just finished some of my midterms. Yesterday I got my grades back for my math midterm, and I noticed that I got a D. And afterwards, like, I honestly just like shut down. I was over it. I cried a lot. I thought to myself that I'm never going to graduate. I'm letting my family down, and I don't know what I'm doing here. I shouldn't even be here.
Okay. Thank you for sharing that as well. And I'm sorry that you're having all those thoughts. So, what I want to do is I don't know if you have a piece of paper near you, but let's get that on paper. Let's record that thought.
Okay.
So let me know when you have the paper. So we're going to make three columns. We're going to do the event and the thought, right?
Hmm.
Then we're going to make a column for the distortion, and then we're going to replace it. A column for the thought that we're going to replace it with.
Okay. I'm good right now.
Okay. And so the automatic thought that you're having is sorry, the event is that you received a D. And the automatic thought is, I'm never going to graduate and I'm not worthy of being here, right? So let's get that down.
Okay. Yeah, I wrote it down already.
All right. And so now let's rationalize that thought. Sometimes we call these like thought traps. And we're going to identify what type of thought trap we're in. When you say, I'm never going to graduate because of one grade, that's catastrophizing a thought, the meaning that you're going to worst case scenario. Then we're jumping to the end of the story basically there. And when you say you put yourself in this position and you feel bad, because your parents didn't ask you this. That's personalizing, or a little bit like a should statement as well, like things that should happen, or like, you're putting yourself in this position, is kind of that should statement.
Yeah, well, I just feel like I should be helping them instead of just failing at school.
Yeah, and then again, like you said, that should you should be helping. And I think a lot of that is, you're taking on some of that guilt for pursuing education. Um, and a lot of that is linked to our culture and being Latino and like feeling that pressure of familismo, of we have to help within our families. And, I want to go back to the unworthy, um, that you mentioned, and that's labeling. So you're labeling yourself as unworthy. That can be a reaction to your ADHD, making organizing or making time to study and organize hard. And it's not an actual fact of or an actual description of your worth.
Thank you
Does
for
that
that.
make sense?
That was
Yeah.
that's validating.
Okay, great. And the last step there is that we're going to replace it. So we need a thought that's actually true, right? So let's imagine that your sister came to you and she said, I got a D, and now I'm not worthy of school, and I put myself in this position. What would you tell her?
Um, I mean, I would tell her she's wrong, you know. I would say that she's working so hard and she helps mom and dad when I can't. One bad grade doesn't mean you don't belong here. You just need extra help. If possible, I would even find time in my schedule to tutor her.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. I definitely like how you broke that down. So now, how do you apply that to yourself? How do we replace that unworthy thought with what is actually happening in your reality?
Okay, so I think in reality, I am a first year student that is neurodivergent given my ADD diagnosis. I'm working a job and sometimes it becomes full time, and not only that, I'm a caregiver and I have to be a role model for my younger sister. And so I am worthy of being here because I'm doing the work. One bad grade means I just need to find other supports in school, and not that I should quit.
Perfect. No, that's a perfectly rational. And then all the other things that you're breaking down is what we call the evidence. So it's an evidence-based thought, right? So what I want to do is let's keep that triple R sheet where you're writing down your thoughts, you're rationalizing them, and then replacing them. Let's try to record one thought this week. If that unworthy feeling comes back up, let's write it down. Um, yeah, how does that feel?
That works. Do you need me to bring it to our next session?
Yeah, write them down, and then we can definitely work together to create more rational thoughts and replace them as well.
Okay. Thank you for
Yeah,
that. I'll see you
perfect.
next week.
I'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye bye.